Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And this is Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news,
Recent indie releases,
and a shiny new Pixel panel.
Thank you for listening. Let's get started.
You know what, Don?
What?
You know what,
Ryan?
Nick?
I don't know.
You know what, everybody? I have some news and notes for you. Have you heard about the magnetic Playdate protective case?
I did. Have you looked into it? Have you checked it out? Checked the specs?
I did, as much as looking at the link that is in the show notes for today's episode. It looks like you have some choices between animal skin and not animal skin products, which is nice.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to have a magnetic closure, as mentioned before, sort of like a coin pursey, squarish type of look to it that holds the Playdate itself. You can even toss in the charging cord and have it in the case if you wish. It's got like options for wrist straps or carabiners, or take the whole thing off and, just have the thing in your pocket. All kinds of different color choices. Looks real cool. So we will include a link to that in the show notes for today's episode. Oh, I think there was a price on it too, was there not? $49 for the full grain leather, $45 for ballistic nylon or waxed canvas.
The carabiner and wrist loop are additional add-on prices, and they start shipping in about a week. So yeah, they're from Waterfield Design, so check them out. They'll be linked in the show notes. Pretty cool. I watched a video of how the magnetic clasp works, and it was pretty neat.
It's like a zipper thing, right?
It looks like a zipper, but it just has magnets on it, so it just sticks together. Yeah.
Pretty
Very fancy.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it fits in there with the purple case. The purple Panic case will fit inside of this case with it.
You can double case it. Extra protective.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool. Anyway, looks real nice. Good job, Waterfield. Looking forward to seeing some of these out in the wild, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of wild, should we talk real quick about this duplicate games sideloading?
Tell us about that, Don. Pretty
thing. So if you visit the Playdate sideloading tab, you'll notice a warning, which is not popping up for me at the moment. Let me bring it up. But basically, if you sideloaded any games before February 2013, it will ask you, and then you sideload the same game, a different version after February, they will appear on your Playdate as different games. So there is a help article on how to copy your save data from the old version to the new version so that you can delete the old version so that you don't have duplicates on your system. We can put a link in the show notes to that sideloading FAQ help page, but I don't know. I'm guessing that means there will be some sort of system update coming. I mean, there was 2 system updates recently, small ones, but there's some back end thing going on. So there you go.
This must be in support of Catalog, which is the impending release of the official Panic method for sideloading stuff.
I'm assuming that means some of these games that were previously available might be included in the catalog. I don't know. I don't know anything. So don't read into that, but that's my assumption.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody does know much of anything about catalog. Even speaking to some of the devs who shall remain nameless, I've heard, hey, I've applied to the whole catalog thing and still not heard anything from it. And these are like devs who have done some really killer games. So I would expect that they would, but who knows when this is coming out. They were talking about Q1 of 2023. So, in theory it's coming soon, but I don't know, maybe this itch thing, the sideloading thing rather, is an indication of that. But man, I would think that more people would know more about it by now.
Yeah, and maybe it's a soft launch kind of thing with just a couple devs, and then it'll get bigger as it goes, or who knows. But since they said Q1, I'm guessing we'll hear something this year or at some point this year. Hopefully soon, but I know everybody's excited about it. Yeah.
So
anyway,
totally.
just a heads up.
That's going to be a real game changer for a lot of folks, I'll bet, because as you know, you had to hold my hand through side loading via itch and the beginning of this podcast, and now I'm an old pro, but I'm sure there's still some Ryan-esque folks out there who could use a little easier experience. So yeah, welcome it when it comes, whenever it comes.
It'll be very exciting. Ryan, what is this Spike 2 box note you've got here?
Ooh, next bullet point with a boop is the Spike 2 box. Remember we told you all about that last episode. There were 50 limited boxes for the Spike 2 game. Well, guess what? They're all spoken for. I'm sorry if you didn't listen to last episode. You're probably out of luck. And I say probably because I was speaking with Jan, the developer, who told me that, quote, they are not sold out because some of them have not paid yet. Some of the folks who wanted the box have not paid yet. So new people who contact him will go on a waiting list. And if he does not get the payment, then he'll go down that waiting list. So all 50 are spoken for. There is a slim chance that if you contact Jan of Spike 2 fame, that you can maybe slip in there via a waiting list. But they're all spoken for. So congrats to Jan for putting together a killer package there. I am anxiously awaiting mine, and I'm sure the other 49 folks are too. So cool.
I saw he was boxing them all up online on Sunday.
Neat.
So, shipping soon.
Yeah.
Nick, did you put this Post Hero note in here?
No, that was me. I was all over the news and notes this episode. So the... do you want to talk about this, Don? I feel like you are a better person to chat about this.
So Post Hero is the point-and-click adventure out now from Scenic Route Software, and it came out this week, but so I was trying not to jump on it, but I was too excited. I jumped on it, and I found a couple bugs, so I messaged the dev, and he put out a patch right away, got it fixed, and then I played it a little bit longer and found a couple more bugs, and so he put out another patch, and then he found some more bugs, put out another patch. The game is very polished. They're just little tiny bugs, but he's always very quick to patch his games. So anyway, there are multiple patches, but it's all patched up, so go grab it. You'll hear more about it soon, but it's very good.
Yeah, I've been deliberately waiting to play it. I'm so excited about it, but when we've got a pixel panel game, I try to sort of immerse myself in that. And It came out, Post Hero came out just before we recorded this episode. So I wanted to come in with a clean slate, a fresh start, a new fresh towel. I don't know, something. But anyway, really looking forward to Post Hero.
Yes, I was kind of in the same boat. I was mostly focused on the pixel panel game for this week, but I couldn't help myself. I was excited. New Scenic Route game, so I played a little bit.
I will say that I did download and open and look at the map that he included and also the game guide, which is like crazy thorough. I've never seen a game come out with a game guide that was that thorough. It was not just like a quarter page size traditional Nintendo or Game Boy manual. It was like an 8.5 by 11 multi-page document. Like it was very well done. And if that's any indication as to the level of thoroughness that Scenic Route Software put into that game, man, I am looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, it's really nice. I tried not to look at that too much either. I didn't want to spoil too much.
Speaking of spoiling, Don, I don't know what the next one has to do with spoiling, but there is a secret coming up. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so our pixel panel game today we're going to be talking a bit about is Sparrow Solitaire by Vogelscript and Gingerbeard Man. And they gifted us 4 review codes that we gave out on Twitter ahead of time, and 4 review codes we will be giving away on the show today. So somewhere in this episode, we will have a secret word. And what you need to do is email us that secret word at helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com to be entered to win a copy of Sparrow Solitaire.
Now, this is going to be somewhere secretive within the episode. You're going to have to sift through all the boops to find it, but it will be worth it because of the generosity of Vogelscript and Gingerbeard Man. Thank you so much for providing us with these codes for your game. That is very, very cool of you. Thank you.
So the first 2 people that email us will receive a code, and then from the other entries, we will randomly pick 2 more entries to win the other 2 codes. So again, thank you so much for these codes. And we should mention that they offered us review codes, and Nick and I already owned the game, so we were good. But Ryan accepted a review code, so they didn't need to do that, but we really did appreciate that. We had already selected the game, but yeah, made it easy for us to jump right in. So thank you for that. You'll hear more about Sparrow Solitaire in a bit, though, and keep your ears open for that secret word. So moving into indie inventory.
Hoobity boop 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 boop.
Nick, want to make sure you're still there. We just blew past Nick for like 15 minutes.
Still here.
Yes.
Good. Okay, Nick.
Yes.
I'm pretending that I'm talking only to you.
Okay. All right.
First game is called Soko. It's by TKers. It is
Don?
$2. It is
Don.
a Sokoban game. Yes, sir.
What's it about?
It's a very teeny Sokoban game. I know you're familiar with
Okay.
these. You push blocks around. You try and get them over as squares.
Is this themed? Is it like cars? Is it blocks? Is it boxes?
Crates and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Video game staple of crates. It's very cute. I did play a bit of this, and they're very nice, bite-sized puzzles. Very well done.
Cool.
Worth a look for $2. Next up from Brandu is called Blocky Balloons. This one is also basically a Sokoban game, so I have not played this one. They came out back to back. It's $3 to $4. I think it was on sale for $3, but it's also $4. But it has some glowing comments, some glowing reviews there. So check out Blocky Balloons. Next up is a big one. We had a lot of big games this week.
Yeah.
From Pizza Fuel, Dungeons and Doggos.
Did you guys have a chance to play this?
I did, and I was also trying not to play this because it was really fun, but I was like, no, I need to stick on this. I need to stick to our featured game. But yeah,
same. I actually did fire this up tonight right before the episode because I knew we were going to mention it in Indie Inventory. So Dawn, I'm curious about your thoughts on this one.
If I remember right, I think Pizza Fuel gave me a code for this as well. So thank you to Pizza Fuel. But yeah, so this is similar to a Doodle Jump, which I loved.
Yeah.
But you're a little dog jumping on a bunch of dragons trying to get up into outer space. I am really bad at it. My son, I thought he could maybe have the Owen Clader itch to excel, but he was also not great. But there's tons of like unlockable hats that are based on other Playdate games in there. There's lots of little features like you can pet the dog, and there's different worlds and whatnot. Pizza Fuel
really
puts a
awesome.
lot of cool features in his games. Yeah, it's really fun, Nick. You got to try it out.
Yeah, Pizza Fuel also gave me a code for review, so I'll take a look at that.
And me as well. So all of us got a code. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Pizza Dev.
Thank you very much.
Pizza Fuel Dev. And before we move on to the next one, I just wanted to mention a couple of things too. So you were mentioning Doodle Jump. That's a game I've not played, but a game that I have played that is quite similar is Whirlybird. It's one of the free games that comes with Android, and so I've played that a bunch with my son, and we frequently will best one another on that game. But this game really had some interesting variations on that vertical jumping game. I've also played a game very similar to it called Sheep Launcher. I'm guessing it's very similar to Doodle Jump, but the couple of things that were different about this game is that as you're jumping up through the platforms, just to let you know, you are a dog, and then you're jumping on dragons. Those are your platforms. You also have a jump mechanic that will like boost you mid-air. So you can jump on the platforms, or you can also boost without hitting a platform. And you have 4 of these jumps that you can do mid-air. The interesting thing is that you can recharge your jumps. So you could, do one of them or blast through all 4 of your jumps. But if you do, each time you hit another platform, it recharges half a jump. So basically, you've got to touch 2 platforms to regain one of your jumps back. So you can't just rocket up through the levels. I thought that would make things a whole lot easier than it actually was. I agree with Don. This is a really challenging game, and there's a couple different modes. There's what he calls a story mode, which is really easy, and a score mode, which is a very similar game, but a lot harder. And I was not able to hit triple digits, so I never got up to space. I've so far got up to the sun, but man, it is challenging. So I was curious how you fared on this one, Don.
My high, I think I finally got into the 80s. For a while, I was
Wow.
stuck at 77. I feel like that was bad. Like 100 seemed to be obtainable because there are destructive enemies at a certain point. I don't want to spoil too much. I watched reviews on YouTube from Playdate TV, I think it was.
Oh, cool.
When you get into the triple digits. And then I've been talking to Pizza Fuel Dev on Discord this week.
Nice.
And but somehow I unlocked 2 hats, and I didn't have enough money to buy them, so I don't know how I unlocked them. And he said the only way to do it is to buy them. So I must have, I guess, just over time had enough money. Maybe my son bought them and I didn't notice.
Yeah,
But
probably.
I got a Zanya lasagna themed hat and a
really?
Life's Too Short themed hat. Yeah, I won't spoil the other hats.
That's awesome. Yeah, they've got like a fez and a cowboy hat, and wait a minute, these are spoilers, right? I probably shouldn't say that, or Dom's going to get mad.
There's a bunch of hats. Yeah, just for fun.
Anyway, Pizza Fuel Dev, real nice work on this one. We're having a lot of fun, even though I just started playing it tonight. I can foresee playing some more of it in the future. So Nick, thank you very much for the codes.
Nick, did you try it yet?
I have not
downloaded.
Yet.
Haven't played.
Okay. Downloaded, haven't played.
Yes.
The music is also really good. You can change the track. I think there's either 3 or 4 tracks, and they're all really, really good.
I meant to mention that too. It has such a nice sort of retro chiptune vibe to it. I really enjoy the music too.
And it comes with 4K printable posters that are sort of a riff on the what is it, lo-fi beats to study to art. Yeah. Anyway, lots of cool stuff there.
Cool.
So there's our full review of Dungeons and Doggos. Not really though. Moving on, Rosetta Stonachu by Osuka. So I was really looking forward to this. It's like a language study game, but it kept crashing on me. If anybody is able to give the dev some feedback in the Playdate Squad Discord to kind of get this figured out. I am not the smart type to get this fixed, but it's got like Turkish, Portuguese, Spanish, a bunch of stuff. I would love to make this game work because it looks so cool. But it's Pokemon with language learning.
It looks like the dev is really responsive on their itch page too. They're responding as recently as a couple days ago, so you might toss it in there too if they're not on the Squad Discord already.
Yeah, I'm one of the comments down here, and I'm anyway saw them on the squad. But that one's name your own price, so hopefully whatever's going on there gets worked out. Froglike by Jomar. I also tried this one. This is name your own price. It is a roguelike. You're a very cute little dungeon with a frog. You just walk into enemies to attack them, which, Nick, I think that was what's that mystery dungeon game?
All of the mystery dungeon games have that characteristic.
That mechanic.
Froglike. That reminds me of that mobile game that we talked about a lot.
Froglike,
yeah.
Yeah, that game's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This does not play anything like that. This is more of a... Who's the... Sure and the Wanderer? Is that what I'm thinking?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a mystery dungeon game. Yeah.
Okay, this is more like a mystery dungeon game, not like a Frogger like Froglike is.
Okay.
This one is very cool, though. It is challenging, though.
I'm a big fan of mystery dungeon games, so looking forward to that.
You got to try this one, then. It's really cool, but challenging. So check that one out. Name your own price. The secret word is rose-ringed parakeet. So don't forget to email us that secret word to win your copy. Next up,
should we scream real loud? Is that
I
No.
could
Like how we
poop a few
identify 'em.
times if necessary.
No, that's okay.
That's even less secret.
All right, let's go.
Post Hero from Scenic
Oh,
Route
yeah.
Software, $7.99. It came out. He made it. He got it out in February. It is man. There's just so much love put into this game. So I'm sure you'll hear more about it later.
You know, this is like the one episode I'm looking forward to ending so I can go play this game immediately afterward. No, in all
That
seriousness,
said, we have a very good pixel panel this week.
in all seriousness, if Scenic Route Software having the how should we say this, the distinction of being the only game to ever have a repeat indie game of the week, we're definitely looking forward to this one. So yeah, can't wait for that.
So I mentioned it was $7.99. There's also a Hero Edition for $9.99 or more that comes with the game guide and the map that Ryan was talking about earlier. I would say it's definitely worth it. For $2, you get like a full walkthrough, like a game guide that's illustrated and everything. So it's really nice.
It's quite a document. Yeah.
This is like one of those AAA games that people...
I couldn't believe that he had time to create all that in addition to the game itself, and the game looks incredibly polished. I'm impressed.
This dude said something about having a family. I can't believe he has that. And, he made this game.
And a job.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Post Hero. Check it out. And next up is Deadly Disco from, I don't know, Gurm Home. Should I try to like stumble through saying these devs' names every week?
I mean, GRHM Home.
GRHM Home. I'll just phonetically say each letter.
Yeah.
I think it's part of our charm, don't you? At this point,
I don't know about charm, but yeah.
Sure. Well, that could be Nick's role. Nick will say the names.
Say
of the
dev's
devs.
name?
Yes.
Okay.
I
All
love
right.
that. Okay. So Deadly Disco. I did play this one as well. The idea is sort of like you walk, you have to keep moving. This is like almost like the game we did last week, Crop Buster.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep moving to get more score, but then like the holes will pop up on the dance floor, and you don't want to fall into a hole.
Don't like that.
Yeah. But also your hair looks like a hole. Like right now it looks like there's a hole behind your character on the screen here, but that's your hair. So it looks like there's always a hole right above you. So it's a little disorienting. It's just a cool, quick little arcade game, but I don't know. I thought it was fun. The music's pretty good too.
The title alone sounds like it's a total Nick game.
It does, yeah. Yeah, it's a quick little time killer, but it's charming.
You might have to download and play this one, Nick.
We'll see what the future holds, right?
I want to see what your scores are. There's 3 different modes, I think, or maybe 4. But I tried all of them, and there's like boogie mode or groovy mode or something that was very difficult. So I'm curious.
Might have to get a high score beatdown thread going on.
Oh yeah,
HPP Discord.
Yes.
Don, you know who the developer of the next one is?
Who's that, Nick?
It's Bobby Kaz.
Oh, got the easy one there.
Yeah.
Deadly Disco, by the way, is free.
Oh,
Bobby Kaz, though, he produced a game called Pocket Lights. Name your own price. This is similar to Lights Out.
Okay.
Is there a name for this kind of game? It's just Lights Out's likes, right? Lights Out.
Light removing.
Light removing. Yeah, it looks good for what it is. I have not tried it yet, but if you know what Lights Out is, this is that on the Playdate. So it looks really good for that kind of game.
So, not to derail us here, but I wasn't sure if it was Bobby Kaz or Bob Bike from Arizona and the AZ at the, or maybe it's like Bike
That
Bikes.
took me a second. Maybe.
Anyway, I think that's all of our indie inventory for the week, right?
I hope so.
Which brings us to our brand spanking new-ish segment called Pixel Panel. Boopity boop boop boop. Captain Don, take it away.
Our Pixel Panel this week, our featured game is Sparrow Solitaire from Vogelscript and Gingerbeard Man. They worked in collaboration. I think they met on the Playdate Squad Discord, unless I'm mistaken. So you may know this game under the Shanghai name. I played it. I think it was just called Shanghai Mahjong on the Genesis. I played it with my mom on the Genesis as a kid. But yeah, so it's a tile matching mahjong solitaire game.
Mm-hmm.
Sparrow, I think it's called Sparrow, possibly. It translates to Sparrow in Japanese. But yeah, so right now it's a one-player game, but it's in early access, but there are tons and tons of features to come, which we will go over here in a little bit. But right now you have a big pile of basically dominoes or tiles, and you make matches over and over and over and try and clear out the whole board, which, as we discussed in the group chat this week, is more challenging than it sounds, because a lot of those tiles are buried because the tiles pile up kind of in a pyramid shape, let's say, towards the top of the screen. So the nice thing with this game is that it's super, super polished. This is one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it so much. There's so much detail down to each pixel. These aren't the big pulp style sprites that we're kind of used to seeing in so many Playdate games, which is great, but this one is just really fine details. And there is actually an option where you can zoom in. Did you guys try out the zoom at all?
Oh, I didn't
No, I
see
was
that
not
one.
aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talk about this.
I think you use the crank to zoom, if I remember right.
What?
Yeah, so I tried it on the sports tiles. So there's also different types of tiles. If you want to just change the face of the tiles, instead of seeing Japanese characters, you can change it to runes or Egyptian characters or letters of the alphabet, or different sports like basketballs and skateboards and whatnot. So there, you can change the way the crank works. And in that case, instead of normally when you crank, you'll just go to any available tile very, very, very quickly. So quickly that I didn't really use the crank.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also change it to zooming in and out, which I did use now and then, just to see the detail of the tiles. Because in low light conditions especially, this is a challenging game to play because there's so much going on the screen. There's also backgrounds, somewhat detailed backgrounds in a nature type of landscapes with birds or trees or bridges, that type of thing. Sometimes
don't forget the elk.
Sometimes it kind of muddies the board a little bit. And so I turned on high contrast, I think, or dark mode, maybe it's called. Let me see. And that kind of made it easier. I turned the background into a dark mode, and that made the tiles kind of pop more about halfway through the week. I really started messing with the options more just to kind of get a better feel of the game. But then it really did become easier to play in certain lighting conditions. And then I kind of leaned on the sports mode more, because instead of being the Japanese characters that I was kind of used to from playing the Genesis game, there would be a boxing glove, which would be like a big black blob, and then a bottle or gymnast rings, like I don't know what they're called. The rings that they swing around on. Anyway, there's not really a boxing glove and a ring look very different. So it's a lot easier to distinguish very quickly the shapes. Anyway, so that's the high level where I'm at. But I want to hear from you guys. Nick, what did you think of Sparrow Solitaire?
I thought it was extremely polished, and I was very, very impressed, especially since it's still in early access. The number of options in the menu is really amazing. Don's already touched on some of them, but some of the things that I found really impressive were the different layouts that you can choose from. So there's something, what is it, like 7 or 9?
I think it's 11.
11. Well, it's some odd number. Anyway, it's a large number of different layouts, and most of them, or is it all of them, use the same number of tiles.
I think it varies, but I'm not certain.
Most of them seem to use the same number, but I don't remember for sure. Anyway, the different layouts are really interesting, and they keep your attention very well, I thought. Some of them are very clever and funny. I played through each of the layouts just to see, what I could do. I didn't complete every game that I played, but I did experiment with each layout just to see what was up there. The big thing I wanted to talk about, though, was the music. The music is fantastic, and there's a number of different background songs that you can switch between, and they're all great in different ways. I really appreciate somebody who spends a lot of time thinking about how the music interacts with the game and the sound design overall for this game. As simple and straightforward as the gameplay is, was very much appreciated. So the little clicks and clacks of the tiles being laid out, to selecting tiles, to selecting the wrong tile that match, to match with the one that you've already selected. All these things add up, and they all work well with the different background music that has been selected so far. I don't know if there's plans to. I see it now. There's plans to add more music later on, which I think is ridiculous because there's already like a huge number to choose from, and it's all great. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they consider the finished music. But I was also very impressed with the different backgrounds. Some of them, as you mentioned, it can theoretically be a little tough to see. It just depends on the board, the layout, and also the tile set. But the tile set, I was really impressed with how readable the different characters were. As small as they are on the screen, and I did not have like the best lighting conditions, but I was still able to easily discern the different characters very well. And I often have trouble with that on games with a lot of small detail on the Playdate, but I did not with this game. So, massive thank you to the art department on this one because they did a great job. I don't know who the artist is on this one, but very, very impressive.
Gingerbeard Man, Matt Sefton, he did the art.
Well, great job, and much appreciated as somebody, as I said, who sometimes has trouble with some of that fine detail in other games. I really was able to pick up on pretty much everything that was going on. The only thing that's a little unclear were something that Ryan brought up in the chat, where there are little marks in the corners, and sometimes those can be a little hard to see depending on the tile set. But once you know to look for them, it's pretty easy to spot them. So I know at first I had a similar experience to Ryan, and not to steal your thunder, Ryan, where I wasn't able to see those marks necessarily, and so I didn't realize there were matches that were left unmade. But other than those things, those are the big things I wanted to touch on. I have more thoughts on the gameplay itself, but I've been talking for a while here. So Ryan, why don't you tell us what you think?
Sure. Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on this game too. And Don, I'm glad you chose this because I enjoy it, but I don't have like a wholehearted endorsement of it. And I'd like to go over a couple of things that maybe could be changed as they're developing this. So first of all, I want to start by saying there is a lot to love on this game, from all the things that have been mentioned already: the music, the layout, the inventive layouts. There's like bird layouts and Playdate layouts and lots of very fun layouts. The backgrounds are really incredible. I found myself really enjoying those. I did not feel like the backgrounds muddied the experience. It felt to me like a really great old Mac OS, like a binary system where there's just black and white images in the background. Really crisp, gave it a nice, I don't know, ambiance, if you will. I love the backgrounds. I love the options that you have, which are already ridiculously thorough, from the music to the backgrounds and everything we've talked about so far. a very, very polished game. I want to reiterate that already, even though it's still in beta mode. What? Like, this is the most polished beta I think I've ever seen. So instead of reiterating everything that's been said already, a couple things that gave me pause were, one, um, the movement of the cursor as you're moving the little hand to point to a tile. I would most often use the D-pad to move around the screen, but I would find a number of times where I'd move the cursor and it would move to a place I wasn't expecting. Okay, that's not a big deal because there's so many tiles and they're off grid. It's not like you can always go up or down or left or right to accurately get to where you want. So not a big deal there. But I would move around in instances where I'd go up, 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 and then I'd get to a thing and I'd go one too many. So, okay, I'll go back down and I'll get to that last one I went to. Nope, it goes to a different tile. And then I found myself having to scroll around in sort of a random way to get back to the tile that I wanted to. So that was a little weird. If I could make a suggestion to the devs, I'd say have the same path forward and backward when you're moving. And also on the subject of movement, I also found in a number of instances where I would try to get to a tile using my D-pad and I could not do it. Like, it physically would not go no matter which direction I went. So I had to whip out the crank and then use the crank to move around, because the crank seems to go in a more linear fashion, almost like a Western reading, left to right, top to bottom, down the page type of thing. So I had a couple issues there. Another minor quibble I had, and Nick, I was surprised to hear you say that you found the game extraordinarily legible. For the most part, I think it's really readable, but when I started out the game on standard options, when I was trying to read the Japanese glyphs, I had a real hard time seeing them, and because I am so Western, I had a hard time looking and finding similarities. Like, I would think that I found a similar tile, and then it was not similar. So I shifted over to a Western alphabet, and that made things easier for me to recognize and also more legible because those letters were so much bigger and thicker, whereas some of the glyphs on different options seemed very, very small to me. Even when I switched over to a Western alphabet, though, when the game ends, there's a game over screen, essentially, and it's written in a single pixel wide font, which doesn't sound like that big a deal, but on the Playdate pixels are so small, and that really got kind of difficult for me to read, especially on like the press A to continue or B to go back portion. There's like a letter inside a little black circle. Those letters seemed ridiculously small to me. I really had to like pull the Playdate very close to my face in order to read those. And I did not understand why they were so small, because when the game is over, you're not restricted on screen real estate anymore.
Right.
The tiles, okay, I understand, because you're trying to cram a ton of tiles on a screen at one time. So that makes sense to me. But the game over screen and having such a small font, I would love to see that bumped up. But with those minor quibbles aside, again, this is a very, very polished game. So with all that said, what do you guys think? Any responses to any of that?
Yeah, I'm curious, Don, which tile set did you wind up sticking with primarily?
I honestly, I didn't really have a primary one. When I noticed Ryan was using the American sort of alphabet, I tried that. Like I said, I used the sports one. I think there was an emoji one I used for a bit. I bounced all around. I for a long time I was using, I think it's called US. The sort of standard Japanese one is the one I was used to. And then there's a Japanese one that looks almost the same. I'm not sure what the difference is. Maybe the seasons. Like, I know we talked a little bit about you would match seasons together with the little dot in the corner you'd mentioned. Maybe that changed. I couldn't really tell the difference. Or you match birds in some tile sets. You would match birds together. yeah, so I tried almost all of them. I didn't try the runes or the Egyptian, but I think I tried all the other ones. But one thing that Ryan mentioned about not being able to land on the right tile, I did notice that, but I'm thinking maybe you were on the grid mode. You can change the cursor mode. So there's a grid mode, but then there's also, you can move to open tiles or available tiles or all tiles, and it'll just snap to available tiles or the next tile. Instead of
Yes,
being, if you're on the grid mode, it'll hop to just empty spaces.
I did find those options, and I did shift between them, and I ended up landing on available tiles because, I mean, what's the point of going to ones that are not available? So I was using that, and even on that, I was unable to land on every available tile using my D-pad. With my crank, sure, I could eventually get there, but D-pad alone,
It's
I was having some
interesting
trouble.
because D-pad was the only thing that I used. I did not use the crank at all. And I also stuck with the default tile set. I switched between the others just to see what they were, but I didn't actually play any games with any other tile set. So these are interesting experiences to me because I'm normally the one who can't see anything.
Totally.
I kind of wondered. It would be nice if there was a mode to fill the screen with the rectangle of the map, I guess. The tile set, because there's so much room around the edge of the tile set.
Oh, I see what
Does that
you're
make
saying.
sense? Kind of like zoom it in just to the edge of the Playdate screen.
You know what? I'll bet maybe the reason for that is, Don, and I don't know for sure, but I'll bet there's a specific number of pixels per tile. And because there's so many, if you expanded each square by 1 pixel, maybe it goes over the allotment of the screen.
I see what you're saying.
So, but I don't know for sure. That's conjecture on my part.
The aspect ratios kind of would mess up.
Yeah.
Nick, something you mentioned is, the music is really, really good. It's by, I wanted to mention, it's by, I think it's Yuki Monster, and the soundtrack is on, I think it's on Bandcamp. It's on SoundCloud. I love the soundtrack, but I hope they add, I hope they add some like chill music. All of the songs on here have a pretty fast tempo. They're very, very good, but a fast tempo. And sometimes it just like, I wanted to relax, so I ended up turning the music off, just because there was no kind of ambient sound or Zen New Age,
I mean,
or something.
There's no Silver Falls soundtrack, built
there you go. Yeah,
got to get that plug in there. Nice work.
There you go.
Thank you.
So while I like what's there, I hope there's more variety to the soundtrack at some point.
Yeah, I could see that.
What was the other thing I was going to? So there's 11 tile sets in here. They're going to add 200 in the final.
What?
That's a lot.
That's bonkers. Wow. Yeah. Let me go over some of the features of the kind of the final mode. The final mode is supposed to come out in April, in quotes, but for full release, 200 plus layouts. Seisen's show layout. This is a different rule set where, as long as the tiles can kind of like see each other, they match. And so you'll start out with a block of just a whole screen of tiles. And then if there's 2 matching tiles next to each other, you can take that pair out. And that kind of leaves a hole. And then you try and kind of like build off of that hole. And so as long as tiles have a way to get free, you can make matches off of them. So it's really a different kind of rule set that's really fun. An optional setting to ensure the tile deal is solvable, which is something we talked about in the chat. They are not always solvable in the current state. And the reason for that is the load time. To create a always solvable set, there is a noticeable lag in load time. And I think it was on the Playdate Squad Discord. There's a separate channel for this. And he shows like an hourglass will pop up and like slowly load the level because it works backwards. It solves the game and then it loads the images in from the solved puzzle.
Rather than what? Just random tiles?
Right.
Interesting. Wow.
And so it wasn't a lot long. It was less than 10 seconds or something.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is there a discernible difference in load time? Like what?
Yes.
It was about 10 seconds?
But it's not ridiculous. It's just, the Playdate only has so much processing power.
Yeah. So that's something that's coming. 2-player hot seat challenge mode. So you compete to remove the most tiles, which sounds really fun. A more detailed stat screen, which we haven't even talked about. If you pause the game, it brings up a whole stat screen.
Wow.
An all-time stat screen that goes across all the layouts, which also they don't believe that the demo or the early access stats will carry over to the full game, or they can't guarantee that right now. So heads up on that. More music, a fully featured level editor.
Oh, wow.
At least 2 more design sets in the tile sets and more backgrounds. Oh, and a daily challenge mode that gives every player the same random layout to solve once per day with a QR sharing, kind of like how Bounce Brew does it.
Professor Layton style.
Yeah.
Very excited.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, tons more features on top of the million features that it already has.
Very impressive. I am really excited to hear about the potential of them adding a solvable mode, because if I'm being completely honest, I felt like this was not necessarily a Ryan game. For me, I like the more arcadey score chasers. I like RPG games. But if I were to sit down at my computer, I would not necessarily bring up solitaire, and this felt very much like solitaire to me. I was unaware of how to play mahjong or this type of solitaire before, so this was my first introduction to it. And as an artist, I have discovered that what I am interested in is custom puzzle solving. Like, if there is a puzzle that exists, like you buy it in a box and you put it together, that's not very interesting to me. But if I can piece together panels on a page to make a page of comics and figure out how characters and speech balloons and environments are layered within there, and it's something that's totally new, that gets me excited. And with American Solitaire, I feel similar to that feeling where it's like, one, it's sort of already laid out and you're either going to win or you're not. There's not like a lot of decision making on your part that's going to make a big difference in the outcome of it. And I felt similar to that here. Like, there's just a bunch of random tiles thrown together, and like I just spent 20 minutes of my life on this thing that can't be solved, and I don't feel real great about it in the end.
Dude.
Ryan, let me ask you a question. You ready for this?
Well, probably. I feel a little bad saying that because I feel like I'm pooping on Don's childhood with him playing this game with his mother. And like, I feel like Don's got a lot of good, squishy, nostalgic feelings toward this game. But I did want to say, for those who are interested in a more, fast-paced, arcadey, adventure-y type of experience, maybe this isn't the game for you, but I am very interested in a lot of those updates, Don, that you just talked about, where it could be solvable each time. Okay, well, now I know I'm working towards something. Or 2-player mode, where I could sit there with my wife or my son.
Deathmatch mode.
Yeah. A lot of that got me really excited when you mentioned that at the end.
Bonesaw mode. Yeah.
So,
what's your question, Nick?
Yeah. Ryan, have you ever played playing card solitaire?
Yes.
Okay. Have you always 100% of the time finished playing card solitaire with a good outcome?
No. And again, I'm not real excited about playing card solitaire either.
Okay. Good. I suppose.
Ryan lives life on the edge.
Yeah.
He doesn't need the whole seat. He just needs the edge.
Exactly. He's an adrenaline junkie. I didn't really realize this. I'm learning a lot about you.
He cranks up the Slayer when he sits down to play Sparrow Mahjong.
I mean, it's really raining blood every time he plays.
As I was sitting there playing this game, I thought to myself, you know what? I feel like Dawn is probably a much better person than I am. Like, I can envision you sitting here and being able to sort of get into a meditative state and have a really relaxed time with this. And as I was making my way through, I think another thing that causes me consternation is that it's a little bit noisy to my brain. Like, I see all these different types of tiles, and even if it's in a Western alphabet, I still feel like I'm scanning through the whole thing. And by the time I get to the other side, I've forgotten what I was supposed to remember from that other side. Then I'm like, just throwing my hands in the air. I feel stupid, like not being able to find things that are there right in front of my face. It's like when my wife tells me to go find the cheese in the refrigerator, and I'm like, I swear it's not here, and she'll go and grab it for me. It's one of those experiences.
I will say that even though this didn't connect with you, there is absolutely no way I will ever match your score in almost any other game that you play. So,
agreed.
I found this game to be very relaxing and fun, and I like a breadth of experiences. You know, I don't expect a particular experience from every Playdate game, and I appreciate the fact that there are so many different experiences like this. And I do also enjoy playing card solitaire from time to time, and this mahjong-based solitaire is a lot more complex and interesting, actually, than most playing card solitaires that I've played. So I found it very enjoyable from that perspective. But I also have a pretty good memory for characters and patterns and numbers and things like that. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
You know, I'll bet you're right, Nick, because you are you're going to disagree with me the moment I say this, but you are a master coder. Like, you can code like the Dickens and make things that I could only dream of. I have tried coding in my lifetime before, and it does not compute in my brain. There are just like some tiny syntactical thing will appear and then nothing will work. And I look through all these lines of code and I don't know where in the world I'm supposed to be looking. And it's not for me. And I think there's sort of a similar brain functionality that allows you to code well and also be an awesome Sparrow Solitaire player to be able to remember all those characters. I think it might just be a little different brain wiring.
It could be, yeah. And it's interesting. You know, everybody, of course, enjoys different things, and it's one of the things that's interesting to me as a game creator is to kind of figure out what different people enjoy and how they enjoy it. So if you connect with this game in a particular way, like you don't particularly connect with the tile sets, which I find very interesting, because I really did. And I normally, you know, I don't like those one pixel wide fonts. We've talked about that going back to Casual Birder.
Yeah.
But I was not bothered by them in this particular application. So
I was so surprised to hear you say that.
I know. It's really interesting. So, you know, that's just another example. Perhaps the ambiance of this game or less reliance on the text for what it needed to communicate made it easier. Did we talk, you know, Ryan and I have been talking here for a minute, Don, but did we talk at all about how you can shake the Playdate to shuffle the tiles?
No, but we should, yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of an
part of it was
feature.
I think you guys got stuck at some point. Well, the game will kind of just end, and there is a little image of a Playdate shaking, and it's very similar to the Playdate shaking image in Shift. In Shift, when you hit a wall, it'll show a little Playdate shaking, and you physically shake the Playdate, and it'll give you another turn, basically. This one will randomize the remaining tiles. And Ryan was doing it kind of in the middle of the game, and then he got to the end and was like, hey, I hit a dead end here. But when he sent us that picture, you could see the Playdate there on the screen shaking.
Yeah.
So he still had an opportunity to shake it.
So yeah, that was a really eye-opening tip that Don gave me. I thought that I was done with the game, and he told me about that shaking possibility, which was really awesome. It's like you have another lease on life at that point. But then the point that snagged me a little bit was like, okay, now I understand that I can shake it and mix up the tiles. Great. So I'm going to try to make my way through everything. And then when I'm stuck, when there are no more matches to be made, then I'll shake it and continue on that game. But then the game, when there are no matches to be made, stops the game. And so that was really surprising to me. And I don't know, again, this is my first experience with Sparrow Solitaire. So Don, I know you have a long history of playing this type of game, and maybe this is just how it goes. But I would love to see, once there are no matches to be made on the board, let me shake it and then continue trying some more. Or
That's what it
does it
does.
just not work that way traditionally, Don?
I can't think of any other ones that let you shake up the tiles.
Yeah.
Maybe Clubhouse Games lets you. I don't remember.
I don't.
This one
I
lets
don't know.
you. When you get to that end screen, you can shake it and keep going.
So you
It
can
only lets you
shake
do
it.
it once per game.
Yeah, you can shake it at any time. You don't have
Yeah.
to shake it during that end screen. So I was always blowing mine before I got to the end screen. But seeing Ryan's today makes me want to go back and play till I hit a dead end and then
Yes.
shake.
That's the way to go.
Because
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, and it would not let me shake at that point. It brought up that game over screen,
Oh.
and then
No,
and then
no
you're
shaking.
done?
that's when I shake. You got to shake it pretty good. I
Huh.
shake it, I don't know, 2-3 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll shake it real good.
Shake
Next
it real
time.
good. Also, Ryan, you have to accept that you're not always going to win. You just have to allow that into your heart. That sometimes
every time.
I don't know. Like, I never got upset that I wasn't winning. I didn't win for a while, and then
Yeah.
I won. I was like, "Oh, cool, I won," and then I just kept playing. I don't know. Like, I was just fine with it. I play a lot of solitaire games. I love solitaire. I love Picross. Picross, you can almost always win. It's a little bit different, but it's the same kind of like you just relax and play some puzzles. I guess I get into the same kind of vibe with solitaire games. But I guess I'm used to losing solitaire. I don't know. I don't always win.
No, like I said a little bit ago, I believe that you are a better person than me.
I don't
So
know
when
about
I
that.
kept
I
hitting,
just don't
when I
get
kept
upset
hitting
about
dead
it.
ends, I'm like, okay, well, I didn't complete that one again. And it was literally probably 8, 10, a dozen times of just not winning any games. Okay, and
That's
and
okay.
finally, right before this episode, I managed to complete a level. I couldn't believe it.
The
I was starting to
journey.
wonder if it was possible.
That's
But
the
it's
wizard
really-
mode, Ryan.
Yeah.
But it's really
You got the
interesting
wizard
to
mode.
hear you talk about the upcoming updates from this, that you can choose randomized versus this level can be completed. And so for, people who are not as awesome as Don can have a chance at really completing every level. Yeah, maybe when I retire, I'll relax a little bit. But like right now,
No,
I feel
find
like
something
as a
else.
dad with so little time in my life, I need that like quick hit to go on. And this was really a more cerebral, relaxed, search and find type of experience.
Pour yourself a cup of tea, put your feet up.
I need to.
So,
You guys are going to make me a better person.
I had hoped we weren't going to talk about it as long, but we ended up doing it anyway. But I do want to also say that I wanted to talk about this game for quite a while, but we just never felt like the right time because of this like pressure to talk about games you guys would like. And then even last week when it's like, okay, Don, you got to pick a game for next time. It was between this and another game that I think you guys would like. That is more of a Nick and Ryan type of game. And then Ryan's like, we just got to pick a game. And I felt like this pressure to like,
and I said,
okay,
hurry up.
Well, I've been wanting to talk about this. So, and Ryan was like, you need to pick a game. I was like, okay, I'll just pick Sparrow Solitaire then. Like, I felt like a little bit of a squeeze. It's like, okay. And I was like, whatever, you guys are going to play it. I forced your hand in a way. I threw out the worrying about if you guys were going to enjoy it for maybe the next game, but
well,
I'm glad
you screwed yourself,
did.
Ryan.
I'm glad you did not worry about whether or not we were going to like it. And again, I like a whole lot about this game. This game is stupidly polished, period. But it's beta, and there's a ton more to come. So anyway, this there was like a part of me that felt bad for my experience in the world after playing this game, like needing to just take some deep breaths and calm down and relax.
It takes all kinds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, I did enjoy my experience. I don't know that it's the game I'm going to come back to every day, like a Generations or like a Whitewater Wipeout or like, other games on my list, the Hyper Meteor, but I can see coming back to it. And I can especially see coming back to it with some of those updates, like the solvable levels, like the multiplayer modes, like, and of course, when they release a gajillion different layouts that they have coming up. Yeah, it's all very, very impressive.
Cool. Are we out of thoughts?
I think we're out of thoughts. I really enjoyed this game, and I'm so glad that you picked it because I've been meaning to play it and haven't had an excuse to do so or the time to set aside to do so. So this new pixel panel setup is really working out for me, being able to play a game and then talk about it. So I'm really enjoying this segment, and I enjoyed this game. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it, Nick. And Ryan, you're dead to me. And we'll see what comes up next week.
See you in 2 weeks, Don.
Thank you to Vogelscript and Gingerbread Man again for the review copy and for the giveaways and for creating such a great experience and something we could talk about and get to know each other and learn a little bit more about life and the fabric that makes up the human experience. So join us again in 2 weeks where Nick is driving the bus. Do we want to say Nick knows what his game is? Is there a reason why we wouldn't say what his game is going to be?
Yeah, let's say it. Spoil it.
Let's do it. Okay. The game in 2 weeks is going to be Post Hero.
Post Hero.
Nice.
Point and click.
Point and click. So if you want to play Post Hero now and join us in 2 weeks and listen along, see what we have to say about it.
So don't forget the secret word.
Yeah, you got to listen back.
Mentioned. Yes.
We've already said it.
Go listen to that episode. Do what I don't do.
Our website, Playdatepodcast.com. Socials are in the show notes. And be sure to join us on Discord. Thank you so much for our new followers over there. Join the conversation. So we will see you in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.